Welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news about college unrest and the First Amendment, news about the Water District, news from the Petroglyph Festival, today's gas prices, weather, sports, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News Crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Whitnick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. Yesterday we did news and an editorial on First Amendment problems in connection to political correctness. Well, yesterday, news media were covering this problem and the effects of the First Amendment on the issue. Reports this morning at the University of Missouri have taken a serious turn. Many death threats are coming in against blacks at the school. The school is being threatened of killing attacks. The school was virtually shut down on Friday. Civil rights activists have criticized the University of Missouri for an email sent to students about possible penalties for hateful and/or hurtful speech, as the campus remains tense these days after protesters forced the school's president to resign. An email sent on Tuesday by administrators instructed students to call university police about such language, warning that while free speech is protected by the First Amendment, students can still be punished for violating the school's code of conduct. The university prohibits bullying, threatening behavior, and harassment, including unwelcome verbal or physical conduct against actual or perceived membership in a protected class. That creates a hostile environment. The university's email reflected the anxiety on campus, where student protesters reported threats to the police and largely stayed in dorms. On Wednesday, police arrested a 19-year-old man about 100 miles from the campus on suspicion of making death threats against black students and faculty members. Early on Wednesday afternoon, police announced a second 19-year-old had been arrested. Both made threats on Yik Yak, a social media site, according to police. Jeffrey Mittman, the executive director of the Missouri chapter of the ACLU, scolded the university on Wednesday for doing both too much and too little. Racial epithets addressed to a specific person in a threatening or intimidating manner can be illegal and may require action by police and/or university administrators, he said in a statement. But no governmental entity has the authority to broadly prohibit hurtful speech or even undefined hateful speech or to discipline against it. Mittman added that the school risks mistakenly addressing symptoms instead of the causes and doing it in a way that runs counter to the First Amendment. I guess what is missing in all these protests is a clear, concise statement on what the protesters want. What do they want changed? Instead of the media just showing all the protesters, start asking, what do these student protesters want? CBS News is reporting the Republican candidates' reactions to these protests. On Thursday, Donald Trump called the stepping down of administrators disgusting, saying that it only sets the stage for further disaster. I think the two people that resigned are weak, ineffective people, Trump told Fox News. I think that when they resign, they set something in motion that's going to be a disaster for a long period of time. Ben Carson also criticized the race-related protest, which had been taking place on other campuses, including his own alma mater, Yale University. He characterized the campus protest as an attack on free speech. There's a level of intolerance for things that are so-called not politically correct that is growing and really threatening our freedom. What we really need to do is to sit down, put on the table the rationale for our beliefs, and discuss them. That is not being fostered at our universities to the detriment of our society. Marco Rubio voiced similar opinions that students' First Amendment rights are under attack. Freedom of speech on campuses seems to be under assault in some of the supposedly finest institutions in the country. In the case of Missouri, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is that got the president fired. Rand Paul also addressed the issue while at an education roundtable in Milwaukee on Tuesday. Does freedom of speech mean there will be boorish people who say things that you don't associate with? Paul added, that's what happens. People shun people who are bores that say outlandish things or things that are unacceptable. But really, in a free society, there's just got to be a place for people to make their argument. Democratic candidates, meanwhile, have applauded attempts to tackle racism on college campuses, just days ahead of Saturday's Democratic Party primary debate to be held at Drake University in Iowa. So that's the latest in the free speech attacks on college campuses. And now let's lighten things up a little with this fun news story with the latest in redneck news. Did you know a survey was done to determine the most redneck cities in California? The people over at roadsnacks.com have just released a list of the most redneck cities in California. Now keep in mind that the term redneck isn't always a pejorative. For many, redneck culture is a source of pride, a slice of Americana that often denotes a strong love of God, family, and country. With that said, Roadsnack seems to have embraced all the typical stereotypes here. They threw in some stereotypical criteria like numbers of bars per city, number of mobile home parks per capita, number of tobacco stores per city, number of places to get fishing gear, number of gun and ammo stores per city, Walmarts, Golden Corrals, and dollar stores nearby. Well, much to my dismay, Ridgecrest didn't make the top 20. As a matter of fact, Ridgecrest didn't make the list at all. The top 20 were as follows: Oroville, Barstow, Big Bear Lake, Sacramento, Red Bluff, Eureka, Paris, Redding, Hayfork, Fresno, Solvang, Fort Bragg, Westlake Village, that's a surprise, Corte Madera, Woodside, St. Helena, Willows, Crescent City, Castroville, and Loomis. So, for those of you out there that think Ridgecrest is a redneck town, you're wrong, at least according to the survey. One thing I didn't see in their criteria was the amount of churches per capita. That should be part of the criteria, I believe. Now stay with us for news about last week's Petroglyph Festival when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Well, the results from last weekend's Petroglyph Festival are coming in. Doug Luke estimates anywhere between 14,000 to 17,000 people attended the festival's events, and there were many events over the weekend. China Lake is estimating about 3,000 to 4,000 visitors went out to Community Day at the Navy's airfield. The base felt the open house was a huge success. Man Ergo Museum is reporting that with the cooperation of the base, they were able to accommodate visitor tours out to Petroglyph Canyon on the base very easy. They even allowed foreign visitors to take advantage of the tours. The museum estimates they handled about 120 people per day during the festival. Those are great numbers for tours. Local hotels reported about a 48% book rate on Friday night and about a 53% book rate on Saturday night. Luke reports about 60% of the Balsam Street vendors were from out of town. Saturday was the high attendance day out there. However, Luke reports that vendors did about 60% of their sales on Sunday. In Water District news, at last week's board meeting, they voted to proceed with a huge solar project. They voted to award the project to Optera Energy. Financing for the $8 million project will be through local bank Mission Bank. They had 2 financing offers and opted to go with the local lender over an outside bank. The goal being local dollars spent locally are positive for the community. The project is a 20-year lease-to-own plan. This project estimates savings to the district of about $80,000 per year for the first 20 years. Then the savings should be about $1 million per year for the next 10 years. And here's another reminder from the Water District. Everyone is reminded that water conservation restrictions that were put into effect this past summer are still in place and must be followed by Water District customers. The only thing that has changed is that people can now water any time of the day. But the days they can water is still restricted. There's no watering on Mondays, excessive runoff is prohibited, and no watering within 48 hours of any measurable rain. Do your part. Use water wisely. Our future depends on it. In the latest news from Sacramento, Senate Republican leader Gene Fuller, Republican out of Bakersfield, commitment to small businesses and the valuable jobs they create was reinforced this past week as the California Chamber of Commerce gave her a perfect score on their 2015 legislative scorecard. According to Cal Chamber, legislators were rated based on how they voted on priority bills for California's business community. When you support businesses and the jobs they create, you are really supporting California's families, said Senator Fuller. Small businesses are the backbone of our community, and I'm pleased that Cal Chamber's scorecard reflects my dedication to them. The president and CEO of the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce, Nick Ortiz, praised Senator Fuller's commitment to the local business community. Gene Fuller has been a tireless advocate for businesses in her district, as evidenced by her perfect voting record with our organization through her service in the Senate, said Ortiz. We appreciate Senator Fuller's continued efforts to make Kern County a great place to do business. Senator Fuller also pointed out that all 14 Republican senators were rated in the highest percentile by the California Chamber of Commerce. The Cal Chamber scorecard reflects Senate Republicans' commitment to supporting businesses and the jobs they provide in our state. I'm very proud of our efforts this year, and we will continue to prioritize legislation in 2016 that improves the state's economic climate and increases job opportunities for hardworking Californians, says Senator Fuller. Now, in the latest on the FBI investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email, the FBI has expanded its probe into the private email arrangement of former Secretary of State Clinton to determine if there is any evidence she violated federal false statements law. According to Fox News, unnamed intelligence sources say the agency is now focusing on U.S. Code 18, Section 1001, a provision that pertains to materially false statements given either in writing, orally, or through a third party, a felony punishable by 5 years in prison. It's reported that this is the same law that brought down the likes of Martha Stewart and Bernie Madoff, and other high-level people that lied to the FBI. It's interesting that for this law, a person doesn't even have to be under oath or warned about the law. It'll be interesting to see if the moderators ask her questions on Saturday night's Democratic debate, or will they give her a total pass like always? Again, the debate is Saturday on CBS at 6 p.m. our time. In City Council news, next Wednesday is the City Council's regular meeting. On Monday's news, I'll have the details of the whole meeting. For info, though, just as a heads up, the big topic of the meeting will be an ordinance about water conservation. So if you have any interest in the Council's action in enacting water conservation ordinance, please plan on attending. Again, the meeting is next Wednesday evening. Burroughs High School wants to remind everyone that Burroughs Band has been invited to participate in the nation's capital 4th of July parade next summer. This is a real honor for them. They were invited by Congressman McCarthy. Band director Simon Austin is asking for the community to help cover the cost of this important opportunity for the kids, Burroughs High School, and Ridgecrest. This showcases our valley in the nation's capital. While they are in Washington, of course, they'll take in some of the nation's history. Simon says this trip will cost about $1,000 per student to go. So please offer donations from the community to help pay for this trip. So if anyone feels like helping, call Burroughs High School for details on how you can help. And in more Burroughs news, the school is also participating in the Friends of Rachel Coat program. This was a charitable organization to promote every child should have a warm coat to wear during the cold months. Burroughs is asking the community to donate new or lightly used coats now through December 10th. Coats can be any size. If little coats are brought in, they will be distributed to other Sierra Sands participating schools for collection and distribution. Coats can be delivered to Burroughs High School during regular hours. This is a great cause. In weekend event news, tomorrow, Saturday, the High Sierra Cyclist Club will host their Desert Classic bike ride. Sign up is Saturday morning at 6 a.m. at Cerro Costa Community College. There are 4 courses to pick from. The first being the Classic Loop. It's 8.2 miles with 1 aid station at the 5.5 mile mark. The second course, a beginner's loop, goes 14.7 miles with 3 aid stations. The third course, called the Sport Loop, goes for 21.6 miles with 4 aid stations. And the fourth course, the Pro Elite Loop, is 27.4 miles in length. It consists of climbs, descents, single tracks, fire roads, rocks, boulders, and other skill tests. The Classic and Beginners courses start at 9:30 a.m. The Sport and Pro Elite courses start at 10:15 a.m. For more information, go to their website at www.highsierracyclist.club. That should be a great race. Now, in KZGN's continuous effort to provide news and information you asked for, here are today's gas prices for Ridgecrest and some surrounding areas. Well, since my report on Wednesday, gas prices have dropped a little bit. After about a week holding steady at $2.89 per gallon, we have dropped to $2.85 per gallon for the low. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from $2.85 to $3.19, Lancaster from $2.75 to $3.09, the LA Valley area $2.65 to $2.89, and the Bishop area $3.05 to $3.32. We have 1 station coming in at the $2.85 figure and 4 stations at the $2.87 figure. So we have now seen a slight movement again. Tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for updates. We at KZGN always suggest you shop locally to support our local economy. Remember, when you pay sales tax out of town, you're helping those cities pave their streets instead of here. Now stay tuned for weather and sports when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. Let's go to Lane for the weather.
Thank you, Tom. From the National Weather Service, heavy rain and mountain snow will continue across the Pacific Northwest into the weekend as a strong storm system off the Gulf of Alaska brings abundant moisture onshore. Rainfall amounts will vary, but 2 to 6 inches will be common across the region through early Sunday, with higher amounts in the mountains where heavy snowfall is possible. Temperatures across the nation: Carolinas at 66, Georgia at 62, Arkansas at 66, northern Texas at 62, Arizona at 76, and Los Angeles at 76. For us locally, tonight, clear with a low around 38, south-southeast wind around 5 miles per hour. Saturday, sunny with a high near 68, north-northwest wind around 5 miles per hour. Saturday night, mostly clear with a low around 41, west-northwest wind around 5 miles per hour. Sunday, a 20% chance of rain, mostly sunny with a high near 64, west-southwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30. Sunday night, a 20% chance of showers, partly cloudy with a low around 40, west-northwest wind 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30. Monday, mostly sunny with a high near 60, west wind 5 to 10 miles per hour with gusts as high as 15. Monday night, partly cloudy with a low around 34, northwest wind 5 to 10 miles per hour. And Tuesday, sunny with a high near 63, west-northwest wind 5 miles per hour. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom.
Thanks, Lane. And now here's Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Friday evening to everyone. Let's start with Saracoso baseball. Tomorrow, big inter-squad game up the hill. Everyone is invited. Starts at 2 o'clock. At 1 o'clock, you can bring your kids up, and they can chase batting practice balls. And that starts at 1 o'clock. And then at 2, they will start a barbecue, tri-tip plates, $20. Comes with all kinds of good stuff from Mather's Dairy. They are sponsoring the event. The game starts at 2, and the dinner will actually get underway around, sometime around 4 o'clock, 4:30. But there'll be some snacks that you can start to buy at 2 o'clock. Again, it's free. The game itself, come on up and watch, and then maybe go out and buy some good tri-tip from Mather's Brothers Dairy, and that all proceeds go to the Saracoso baseball team. All right, Saracoso volleyball. What an end of the season. They had a great match the other night. They defeated Victor Valley College in 4 sets. That is a league win for Saracoso. In fact, Victor Valley is a playoff team. They ended the season very, very well, and Kim Young and crew have to be proud of what they did. Not a lot of players on the team, a couple injuries here and there, but they did very, very well. We're very competitive this year, and they'll look forward to next year. All right, tonight, Burroughs High School football over at Barstow. We've talked about it all week. It appears that Bernard Pierce, the great franchise running back for Barstow, will be unable to play tonight. That's a game changer, and that really moves the momentum over to Burroughs. I believe it's Burroughs' game to win. Burroughs would have to give it away now without Pierce playing, but as Todd Mathers said last night, you got to go out and you got to play the game. Mathers cautioned about their run game. They still have a couple of very good runners, even though Pierce is out of the lineup. They also are working on trying to stop Burroughs' passing game. So if Burroughs can do the job tonight, passing-wise, get the yardage they need, not turn it over like they did last week, it should be a victory for Burroughs, which would put them at home in the second round of the playoffs next Friday night against Norte Vista of Riverside, more than likely. Norte Vista takes on La Quinta tonight in Riverside, and I look for Norte Vista winning that game pretty easily. It's a shame that Pierce can't play. He's a great kid, had a great season, over 1,500 yards. You want to beat a team with all their best, but just a tough break for Barstow. They're 9-1. That program's really done a lot better this year than one of their best years ever. They only lost one game. That was to Burroughs, and that was a game at the last minute that we kicked a field goal to win. So Burroughs gets the win tonight. They'll be alive next week in the quarterfinals. All right, the Clippers lost second game in a row of their season last night. They were defeated by the Suns in Phoenix, and they lost in Dallas 2 nights ago. Suns 118, Clippers 104. The Suns look pretty good, though, actually. Golden State wins again. They win. They've only lost 1 game all season. Stephon Curry, 46 points. Is he something or else? Miami over Utah. Now, Miami beat the Lakers the other night by 12 down in Florida. All right, tonight the Lakers back on the floor. They're in Dallas. Dallas beat the Clippers 2 nights ago. The Lakers 1-7 on the year. They lost their last outing, won at 198 against Orlando. The only team that hasn't won a game, I should say, the 76ers, are 0-8. They'll be at the Thunder tonight. Great college football games this weekend. Looking forward to a couple of them. USC and Colorado Saturday night. That'll be a good game. Colorado much better this year. Record doesn't really indicate that, but they're better. Texas at West Virginia. Florida and South Carolina. Pittsburgh and Duke. Game could go either way. Ohio State at Illinois. Buckeyes should win. They're number 1. Washington at Arizona State. Arizona State needs to win to get a bowl game. Alabama at Mississippi State. Alabama number 3. Big game for them. They want to stay in the top 4 in the BCS. Number 5, Oklahoma State will take on Iowa State. Iowa State can't defend anybody. Oklahoma State should win that game. And 15, Michigan's at Indiana. Oregon at Stanford. Now remember, when it comes to BCS, only the 4 top teams are under consideration at the very end for that 2-game playoff. And the winner of that is number 1 in the land. It used to be that the AP would vote on things. You'd have a designated game you thought would be for number 1. But now it's clear and concise. They have a definite number 1 winner in college football. And that's the top 4 teams from the BCS. They get to go into that. So if you're number 5, you've had a great season, but you can't be considered. That's why being in the top 4, you're going to hear all the time on the news, top 4 in the BCS. That's why it's important. That's your sports for this Friday. Have a good weekend. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. All of the KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Now stay tuned for Ridgecrest Talk coming up next.